under, and then you got to grab the line, and usually when you pull on it, when it gets tight, it rips their arms off.
As the king crab season nears its end, Captain Jonathan Hillstrand and his crew are 260 miles northeast of Dutch Harbor, buoyed by successful hauls of 40 to 50 strong crabs.
You okay?
Jonathan's upbeat mood is contagious, spreading excitement among the crew, who usually joke about heading home. But the next catch defies all expectations, shocking everyone on board. What could possibly astonish these seasoned fishermen so deeply? Join us to uncover the shocking twist in their tale. The art of crab fishing. These seasoned mariners, most of them around 45 years old, know what they're doing, even in the tough conditions of the turbulent seas. Their hard work pays off as they start pulling up crab pots brimming with their valuable catch. There's even a bit of fun when they capture a stray crab trying to escape. The crew has carefully chosen where to place their pots throughout the season, and their efforts have been rewarded. One particularly large haul brings a smile to Jonathan's face. A pot overflowing with crabs, a real treasure in the deep sea.
I got 2 strings. I'm pulling our first one, so that's what we're gonna do. 40 or 50 in them each. That's the crab we're missing right here.
Everyone is eager to wrap up the season on a high note, especially Stephen, who can't wait to finish strong. They're moving quickly and might even get home earlier than expected. But then things take a turn. Their gear gets caught up with that of another boat. Mike jumps into action, knowing they need to solve the problem fast to avoid damage and delays. The crew works together to untangle the equipment, thankfully avoiding the need to dive into the freezing water to cut the lines apart. But that wasn't the worst part. With a storm brewing and only a few pots left to check, the pressure is on to make the most of their catch. Each pot they approach is a gamble. Will it be full or will it be empty? The season has been exhausting, but they push through, and luck seems to be on their side as the last pots deliver a good catch. Now with the storm closing in fast, they hurry through False Pass, a narrow channel known for its dangerous waves that can easily threaten a boat trying to navigate through. False Pass is a tiny spot on Unimak Island in southwest Alaska, home to a small group of people, most of whom are seasonal workers at the local fishery. Only about 35 people live there year-round, out of the 397 associated with the area. The name False Pass came from early American sea captains who mistakenly thought the northern end of the Isinotsky Strait was too shallow for big ships to pass through.
And we're gonna get that slim beat out of us. But we have a good boat, we have a good crew.
By 1921, the community was officially recognized when a post office was established, following the earlier development of a salmon cannery. But there's more to the story. For the people of False Pass, fishing isn't just a job, it's their way of life. They rely on the sea for their livelihood, catching not only crabs but also halibut, salmon, and cod. Living so close to the Aleutian Islands, they know how slim the margin can be between a successful season and returning with little to show for their efforts. Whether they met their financial goals this season is something only the unpredictable sea can answer, and it's not saying a word. Back on the vessel, now navigating the rough waters 190 miles northwest of Dutch Harbor, near the Pribilof Islands, the crew faces strong winds and massive waves. They understand that respecting the ocean is crucial to staying safe. As Jonathan steers the ship deeper into the fishing grounds, from depths of 180 fathoms to over 5,400, he's focused on bringing in between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds of crabs. Reaching that elusive million-dollar catch is on everyone's mind, but the challenges of the sea are always there, reminding them that nothing is guaranteed. Captain Jonathan Hillstrand guides his ship into the middle of a massive 200-mile-wide storm. The vessel shakes and rocks as it battles the fierce ocean waves. Their goal is to break their own record by catching 50,000 pounds of golden king crabs, all while facing waves as tall as 25 feet. As they reach the best spot for crab fishing, the crew begins pulling up pots filled with large, bright red crabs. The sight lifts everyone's spirits, despite the storm raging around them. With their pots almost full, the crew on the Time Bandit readies themselves for whatever challenges come next. Will the ocean continue to reward them, or will the storm turn their luck? Golden king crabs are at the heart of their mission. These crabs are valued for their large size and delicious meat. Descended from hermit crabs, these creatures are incredibly tough, surviving in the freezing depths of the Bering Sea. Their presence here shows just how rich and diverse marine life can be. It also reminds everyone of the potential profits that come from a successful crab season, making this dangerous work worth the risk. But crab fishing isn't just about casting nets and hoping for the best. It's a high-stakes gamble where the risks are real and losing could cost the crew dearly. Take, for example, the horseshoe crabs, often called king crabs. Their life cycle starts fresh each spring when last year's eggs hatch. Before they can mate, these crabs molt, shedding their old shells to grow. Female crabs carry their eggs outside their bodies for almost a year, timing the hatching to match the spring plankton bloom, giving the baby crabs plenty of food. As these young crabs grow, they go through several stages, slowly looking more like adult crabs. They start their lives in shallow waters, but as they get older, they move to deeper waters to lay their eggs. They return to the shallows each year until their life cycle ends, which can take up to 30 years. But the challenges don't stop there.
Yeah, Roger!
That was close. Wow. Be careful, careful. One pot at a time. Just go one pot at a time.
Having an amazing time.
Even though the Alaska Department of Fish and Game says the red king crab population is stable, the overall situation isn't as bright. Many crab stocks in Alaska are shrinking, leading to stricter fishing rules or even complete bans in some areas to prevent further decline. In places where fishing is still allowed, it's heavily controlled to keep things sustainable. It's clear that Alaska's crab populations are not what they used to be. These natural ups and downs in crab populations, influenced by environmental changes, mean that fishing activities need to be carefully managed to avoid wiping out the stocks. Keeping a close eye on these population changes and adjusting fishing practices accordingly is key to maintaining a sustainable fishery. For instance, in 2011, the industry caught 17 million pounds of red king crabs, bringing in over $110 million, showing just how crucial this fishery is to the economy. As scientists dig deeper, they find fascinating connections between red king crabs and hermit crabs, especially in their claws, which they use differently to feed. Alaska's waters are also home to other types of king crabs like blue, golden, and scarlet varieties. In an amazing display of teamwork, king crabs form groups called pods, stacking on top of each other to create a barrier against predators. These stacks can include thousands of crabs, creating massive protective walls. Captain Jonathan and his crew know that their success hinges on understanding the ocean and finding the best spots for king crabs. Every decision to move the ship is a gamble, with expensive equipment and potential rewards on the line. Sometimes Jonathan takes calculated risks, choosing locations he believes will yield a big catch, even if it means navigating through dangerous waters and risking their gear. As they approach a 400-fathom ridge, Jonathan is hopeful for a big haul of golden king crabs. Battling strong winds and rough seas, the sight of large crabs in their pots confirms his instincts were right, boosting everyone's morale. However, the hard work isn't over yet, and staying safe in these harsh conditions is a constant challenge. The crew has to think strategically, like chess players, always adjusting their approach to match the unpredictable sea. But the journey is far from over. With the ship full and a storm coming fast, they must navigate through the dangerous False Pass Channel to get home. This final stretch is full of uncertainty, requiring the crew to work together and stay strong in the face of the ocean's unpredictable behavior. Some days the sea is generous, offering catches worth nearly $1 million, but on other days the nets come up empty or filled with nothing but debris, showing just how uncertain and challenging crab fishing can be. A profession where the rewards are high, but so are the risks. But just as they start to relax, a new challenge begins. The real price of pursuing crabs. The world of crab fishing is complex and challenging. The equipment needed to catch crabs, like traps and pots, requires skilled workers, which adds to the costs. Once the crabs are caught, they need to be cleaned and processed by hand, making the production even more expensive. On top of that, crabs aren't farmed like some other seafood. They have to be caught in the wild. This means their availability depends on natural factors like water temperature and quality, which can change a lot from year to year. Despite these challenges, crab meat is in high demand. Many people see it as a delicacy, loved for its unique taste and texture. This strong demand, combined with the high cost and hard work involved in catching crabs, drives up the price, making crab meat a premium item on many menus around the world. Crab fishing is a constant battle against both nature and the economy. Every trip out to sea comes with uncertainty, as there's no guarantee of a big catch. This risky relationship between fishermen and the ocean highlights the challenge of pursuing one of the sea's most valued treasures. As the first fishing trip of the season comes to an end, it's time for the crew to head back to shore. Captain Jonathan Hillstrand feels a deep connection with his first mate, Andy, and he's quick to show his appreciation for Andy's support during the journey.
This is actually the first king crab offload in 3 years in America. 2023, he goes down in the books, Sig Hansen and Jake Anderson. That's amazing.
Andy, moved by everything they've gone through together, from the good times to the tough ones, nearly sheds a tear as he thinks back on their adventure. They talk about the challenges they faced and the successes they enjoyed, recognizing the worth of their tough but rewarding work. Jonathan and Andy, on their first trip together, managed to catch a huge amount of crabs, enough to fill their boat. When they dock at King Cove to unload their haul, Jonathan can't help but feel proud. Even though they got off to a slow start and faced some early problems, they finished the trip with more than 70,000 pounds of crabs. This catch could bring in around $850,000, showing just how hard they worked and how determined they were to succeed. Jonathan is especially pleased with his role as captain, particularly in guiding the newer crew members. His experience in choosing the best fishing spots and managing the boat and gear was key to their success. The crew's ability to adapt to the changing sea conditions and their skill in handling the crabs efficiently once they were on board helped them make the most of their catch. From catching the crabs to selling them, there are many important steps involved. After catching them, the crew carefully sorts the crabs by size and health, making sure only the best ones are sent to market. This sorting process is very detailed because each crab has to meet strict standards to be sold. Once sorted, the crabs are kept in chilled seawater tanks to stay fresh on the way back to port.
First pot had some crab, second pot had sand fleas, so it was just a couple of fish, the bait was gone. Let's see what's in this one.
This careful storage is vital to maintaining the crab meat's delicate texture and flavor, which can be easily affected by temperature changes and handling. When they reach the port, the crabs go through one last quality check before being sold at auction or directly to seafood buyers. These buyers then send the crabs to different markets and restaurants worldwide, where they are finally enjoyed by people who appreciate this special seafood. Throughout the entire process, the crew has to be careful about following sustainable fishing practices. With rules in place to protect crab populations, they must stick to strict catch limits and often participate in conservation efforts. This focus on sustainability helps protect the marine environment and ensures that crab fishing can continue for future generations. In the end, crab fishing is full of challenges and risks, but it also offers great rewards for those who are willing to face the unpredictable ocean. What else is hidden in the icy waters that could test them even more? The safe return. After their trip, John flew back home, and Andy returned to the mainland, both happy with what they had achieved. Jonathan stayed behind, feeling relieved that everyone had made it back safely and grateful for the help he got from the brothers. Crab fishing is known for being tough and dangerous, not just because of the hard work, but also because the ocean is so unpredictable. At the start of their journey, Jared tried to lift everyone's spirits by talking about the importance of teamwork, reminding the crew that in such rough conditions, no one can succeed alone. But this wasn't the hardest part. Right after Jared's encouraging words, a disagreement broke out among the crew members. Jonathan had to step in to calm everyone down and get things back on track.
Smaller crab, usually the big boys are not too far behind. And I'm gonna just keep going and try to be positive here.
Meanwhile, in the control room, Jonathan found out that they were heading into icy waters. He urged the crew to make the most of the current good conditions and catch as many crabs as they could. Their hard work paid off, and they pulled in a big catch, which got everyone excited. But they all knew that the ocean's mood could change at any moment. So they prepared for the next fishing trip, hoping their luck would continue. Sea ice, which forms when ocean water freezes, floats because it's less dense than the salt water underneath. It covers large parts of the Earth's polar regions and is important for the local ecosystems. However, sailing through icy waters full of icebergs and floating ice is very challenging. These ice chunks can trap a ship, making it hard to move. On top of that, changing winds and currents make navigation even trickier. After barely making it through False Pass, the crew now had to deal with the added danger of fast-moving ice, forcing them to adapt quickly to stay safe and keep fishing. But the worst was yet to come. As the ship entered a large area covered in sea ice, Jonathan got an urgent message that the ice was moving toward them faster than expected. They had been advised to slow down, but now it was too late to change course. Despite the danger, the crew decided to keep fishing. Almost immediately, they ran into trouble when their fishing gear got tangled up. Freddie jumped into action, working hard to untangle the nets and ropes. Just then, a huge wave hit the ship, catching everyone off guard and causing panic among the crew. Jonathan quickly took control, calming the crew and getting the situation under control so they could continue fishing.
First pot had some crab, second pot had sand fleas, so it was just a couple of fish, the bait was gone.
After a lot of hard work, they managed to free the tangled gear and get back to fishing. To their relief, they soon hauled in another big catch, which lifted everyone's spirits. This success made them feel hopeful again, thinking they might be able to keep their good luck going. Now all they could do was wait and see if the ice would stay away long enough for them to finish their work without any more problems. Far out at sea, Captain Sig and his crew are in the middle of a tough competition, using a tactic called corking. This involves trying to lure crabs away from another team's pots into their own. Sig, known for his love of winning, admits he's willing to use any strategy, even if it's a bit sneaky, to get the biggest catch. He hopes this won't damage his relationships with the other crews, but he's ready to take that risk. The tension is high as both groups work hard to outdo each other, aiming to win without causing too much conflict. Meanwhile, further northwest, the captains of the Time Bandit and Northwestern are pinning their hopes on their crab pots, eager for a big haul. The Northwestern crew strikes first, pulling up a good-sized Golden King crab. This success pushes the Time Bandit crew into action. They start strong, catching 90 Red King crabs right away. But their luck doesn't hold. The next few attempts yield only 25 crabs in total from 3 tries. But this wasn't the worst part. Despite the ups and downs, the crew remains excited about their initial success. The Red King crab, one of the largest crabs in the northern Pacific, is a prized catch. These crabs live in the cold waters of the Bering Sea and the Gulf of Alaska. Known for their size, these crabs can have leg spans up to 5.9 feet and weigh as much as 28 pounds. However, most of the crabs caught now are smaller, with a shell width of about 6 inches and an average weight of around 6.4 pounds. When alive, they are a deep burgundy color, but they turn bright red when cooked.
He's eating some crap at the rail, though. I'm trying to keep him out. I don't usually like to get the boys wet like this, but it is what it is.
As the episode goes on, the Time Bandit faces more problems. On their 4th attempt to catch more crabs, they fail because the cage door wasn't set up correctly. They quickly fix the problem, but their 5th attempt also comes up empty. This starts to worry the crew. Andy, one of the crew members, begins to suspect something is off. He notices that the pot doors were tied differently than usual, and this strange discovery happens just as Captain Sig of the Northwestern is nearby. When Andy questions Sig about it, Sig denies messing with their gear. Jonathan, the captain of the Time Bandit, starts to feel uneasy, wondering if someone tampered with their equipment. With no other ships in sight and no solid proof, the situation becomes more frustrating. Starting the season with these kinds of issues is not what they hoped for. As tensions rise, even Captain Sig begins to worry that his crew might face similar problems soon. This story shows just how intense and competitive crab fishing can be. The crews aren't just battling the harsh sea conditions, they're also competing fiercely with each other. This rivalry can lead to tension and suspicion, sometimes overshadowing the teamwork usually seen among fishermen. With the constant high demand for crabs, the pressure to bring in a big catch can push crews to use both strategy and skepticism. making the already tough job of commercial fishing even more complicated. What do you think? Could Captain Sig really be behind the tampering? Or is it just paranoia? Leave your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more intense fishing tales.